Are you gonna be able to get this video up before Christmas time, Jordan? Because if not, I don't know, I mean, everybody leaves the Christmas tree up until like late January anyways nowadays, right? Welcome back, DPReview TV viewers. Chris Nichols here with another quick midweek short. Today we're looking at the brand new Fuji 16-80 zoom lens. You know, it's giving us that classic 24-120 full frame kind of focal length, a very versatile lens. So I thought we would do some tests around the Inglewood neighborhood, and then later tonight we're going to another location. It's gonna be tons of lights, it should be very festive, and it should also give us some good bokeh results. All right, so this is the first time I've ever done a segment in front of mortars, first time for everything. The 16-80 lens actually, from a length standpoint, isn't really much bigger than the 18-55 2.8-4, although when you zoom it, it does gain a little bit of length there. It is a bigger filter thread. You're looking at a 72mm filter diameter on here, but otherwise, it feels nice. The manual focus is well dampened. My only real issues with the outside of the lens, I wish we had an IS switch on here. The IS is supposed to be really good on this lens, but I'd like to be able to turn it on and off. But otherwise, it's weather resistant, it's not too big. All in all, a really nice compact choice for a kit lens. Okay, so we did some lovely shots here of the Inglewood Hose and Hound pub, and you know, I'm shooting all the way through this lens. The first examples we're going to do for res in the corners and the center are going to be at the 80mm range. And you can see here that the center is consistently sharp. I didn't notice much improvement as we closed down the lens, but the corners, even when you are closed down to f8, they still have a little bit of softness. Now, when I went to about 40mm, kind of right in the middle of the range, there I did notice that the corners absolutely improved, as I would expect on a zoom lens. Generally speaking, the middle of the zoom range is where you're going to get the best optical performance. Now, when we go wide again we see those corners fall apart. Even if you stop down to f8, you're still going to see strangeness in those corners, a smearing effect and a softness. So I would say overall this lens, it's the corners that you might have issues with. Otherwise, the center looked very sharp and very consistent all the way through the range. The sun popped out for just a quick minute, so we grabbed a quick Loca test, and for longitudinal chromatic aberration, the Fuji 16-80 looks pretty well corrected. Very minimal magenta and green shift in the foreground and background, but it's incredibly well controlled. So really nice performance on that regard. Now, the Fuji 16-80 is advertising 5-stop image stabilization system built into the lens. And I'm using the X-T3 today, which has no IBIS in the body. And doing a shot here, I was actually very impressed because very rarely do lenses actually record as advertised. And in this case, I was able to get down to about half a second and still get good sharpness. It was about 1 full second where it started to fall apart. So overall, very impressed. The lens exactly does what the IS says it'll do.
Jordan here to talk about the video performance of this lens, and I actually think that's the 16-80's strong suit. Yes, it has some issues with corner sharpness, but honestly that's not an issue when you're shooting a 16:9 frame. The IBIS is exceptional for video, and we were also very surprised to see not only do you have a great manual focus ring on this, it's quite well dampened, but there's very minimal breathing, so you won't see the frame shifting while you're shooting that, and a 24-120 equivalent is a great focal range for shooting video. So there may be some ups and downs for stills shooter, but for video, this is the obvious choice if you're looking for a kit lens for an XH1 or X-T3.
So we're going to go into Calgary's annual Noelle Festival of Lights. There's cool markets in there, there's lots of interesting lighting going on, and it's warm. That's the best part, so let's head in. So the first thing I want to mention, it is super dark here at the Noelle Festival, which is great for the lighting, great for showing bokeh examples, but not really good for showing off a lot of the qualities of the lens. So just keep that in mind when you check out the sample galleries at DPReview.com. But I do also want to mention one thing. This lens, again, does have awesome IS in it. And here's an example. I took a picture of Jordan at 1/25th of a second, 3200 ISO, which, you know, makes sense when you want to get sharp handheld photos. And then I took another shot here at 1/10th of a second at 400 ISO. And we can see we still get nice sharpness handheld. So if your subjects aren't moving and you come into a low light situation like this, the 16-80 with that IS can actually really shine without having to force that ISO all the way up. All right, so the bokeh characteristics on the Fuji 16-80, pretty impressive. We get really nice round bokeh for the most part. We got a good rounded aperture in this lens. However, we are getting quite a few onion rings in the bokeh themselves. So it's a mixed bag, not bad, not the best we've seen out of a zoom though. So I think you can see just how close I physically am to these lights. It has an amazing close focusing capability, which when coupled with an 80mm focal length here, means incredibly soft backgrounds. You can have a lot of fun with bokeh like this, or even just impromptu macro shots. So yeah, really versatile that way. Overall, the Fuji 16-80 is going to be a very versatile kit lens, and certainly Fuji is kitting this with some of their bodies. Great focal range, absolutely. I think the F4 is perfectly appropriate for a lens like this. I like that it autofocuses quickly, and it's really not that big or bulky. Now, overall, it's still not a perfect lens optically. Although the bokeh is nice and well-rounded, those onion rings are kind of distracting, and certainly the corners just aren't the sharpest that we have seen. If you're doing portraits, if you're doing travel kind of stuff, perhaps that's not going to be that big a deal for you. But if you want to do architecture and landscape, the softness in the corners might be an issue, and even stop down, it doesn't quite get there. Is it because they're correcting for distortion in the lens? Is it just that it's optically soft? It doesn't really matter. That's just something you have to consider if that's going to work for your photography. Where this lens actually really shines, quite interestingly though, is as a hybrid lens. Photo and video, this would be awesome. Overall though, this lens certainly delivers with its IS promises. It's an incredibly stable platform, and I think overall it's going to be a very convenient lens. And if that's something that you need in your camera bag, this could be a very good choice. Hope you guys found that mini review helpful, and again, leave your comments below. Let us know what you think on Twitter and Instagram. Please subscribe. We'll see you very soon for another midweek short.